Hello, I'm Super Orange Cat, and here I am with some South Park related news for a change. So, South Park season 27 will debut on July 9th. Now, a lot of people have been waiting for this season because although they've had several specials in the meantime, we have not had a proper South Park episode, like a standard 30-minute Comedy Central episode, in over 2 years at this point. For example, of how long ago it was. The final episode of the last released season of South Park was about Mr. Garrison considering running for president again. Since then, we've had a primary and we've had the presidential election. So that's one thing that they don't mention here, but I presume will be dealt with is the fact that Mr. Garrison's president of the United States again. But what they've been focusing on and the several details they have given, especially through the trailer that they released for this season, is the fact that several of the things they're gonna cover are the TSA incidents, like the various plane crashes and plane incidents, ketamine becoming a big thing, the increasing tariff war between the United States and Canada, and apparently they're also gonna reference the Los Angeles wildfires. And I find this interesting because South Park has always prided itself, at least before the serialization seasons, on being incredibly topical. By which I mean they don't start making the episode until the week before. So whatever topics they cover will be still fresh at that time. And it appears here that they've already creating this general plot. And I'm getting worried how the trailer looks, that this is going to be a very serialized season as well. Although they did make a big deal about not wanting to serialize things anymore. But it really looks like the main focus of the season will be on the war against Canada, which, if you are an older fan of South Park, you'll know is a common motif considering the fact that the South Park movie, Bigger, Longer, and Uncut, was about a war against the nation of Canada. But again, that issue might be by the wayside by again July. So we still have 3 whole months until we get there. So by that point, if what if the tariff thing gets resolved pretty quickly? Then by 3 months from now, I'll be like, oh wait, a lot of people are like, wait, we had this thing against Canada, and the fact that's gonna feel like, well, you clearly made this months ago. And for a normal animated show, knowing the animation process, that's not a problem. But it's South Park, a show that always has this very quick schedule. And it's understandable that they're gonna try to move away from that because at this point it's a very stressful way to make shows. Literally make them the week before. But ultimately, like I said, and they also mentioned Diddy. I think Diddy will still be a funny ass joke in July, so credit there. And in the trailer, they show him flying around a jetpack chasing after the boys, which looks interesting. One detail I haven't seen anyone mention is in the trailer, you get to see Moses. If you recall, way back in season 3 with like the Jewish camp episode, they actually contacted like the spirit of Moses from the book of Exodus, and he had something to say. He appears again, apparently, and he'll probably solve the conflict or whatever between the United States and Canada or whatever. And then again, you also have this whole thing, and the picture I'm showing you is from the TSA episode or whatever part of the war against Canada the TSA episode is going to apparently be about, where it's like the kids are now staffing it, and then plane crashes just everywhere, like full on 777s are just flying right into each other and stuff. But and that's the thing about the double-edged sword of being a show that deals with very topical things. If you're making it the week of, it looks cool. It's like, oh, I just saw that in the news the other day. It's amazing. They're talking about this incident and it just happened. Simpsons can't do that. Family Guy can't do that. But again, what if theoretically in the next 3 months there's no major plane incidents? What if again in the next 3 months the whole U.S. Canada tariff war thing gets settled, and it probably gets settled pretty quickly after Canada's elections in a few weeks? Like, what if again, like, Diddy's still gonna be a thing. Don't worry about Diddy. We'll always have Diddy. And then him just flying on a jetpack. Again, people are like, okay, give Diddy. What about Kanye? You've had multiple episodes about Kanye West, and Kanye has been in the news for a lot of reasons in the past year or two. That's the thing, also. Like I said, a tendency South Park has always had is that the first episode in a season has been historically very weak because that the show feels like they have to cover every incident of the past, like, 8, 9 months since the show previous season ended, and they're throwing a bunch of things together and nothing really fits together. I feel like that's gonna happen again, but if they're serializing it like I'm worried that they're going to do, that's just not a first episode thing, that's gonna be an entire season thing, especially considering that recent seasons have been shortened from 14 down to 10, now down to 6 episodes. Gives me the impression that if it comes off to a bad start, like I said, recent seasons have, it's not gonna turn the ship around fast. And again, maybe I'm wrong, but when you're creating this whole serialized element about things that might not even be relevant in July, by July 9th, none of these things might even be really that well remembered anymore of how quick our news cycle is and stuff. We might be like, "Oh, well, this episode dated poorly." Again, and what else dated poorly? South Park in 2016. And do you know what the problem with 2016 was? They serialized everything. And they serialized everything with the assumption of events that were not guaranteed to happen. And people have talked about that season a billion times, so I'm not going to go into detail about it. But again, it shows what the issues with serializing something is, especially for a show that is not at all made to be serialized like South Park, a show that really historically, like I said, has always been prided itself on being very topical. Because these topics might not even be topics 3 months from now. I'm going circular here. Again, although there is a shot that this season ends up being incredible, it could be amazing, especially the Diddy stuff. That stuff looked funny from the trailer. I'm a little bearish. I'm a little pessimistic because, again, South Park is a show that does terribly when it tries to cover stuff that happened months in the past. And they're creating this in a way where they're going to be covering stuff that at that time will be months in the past. So, again, what do you guys think? Leave your comments, leave your opinions down below. I appreciate your input. I am the Super Orange Cat, and that